Before you became a Muslim, what was your knowledge about it? I mix both questions because related each other, so it's not necessary to ask one by one. Understand? Yeah. Before you became a Muslim, what was your knowledge about Islam and how you became a Muslim? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I knew the word. I knew there was a word, Islam. I didn't have a clue. I had no knowledge. I didn't really watch TV that much. I didn't have time. I didn't know anybody that was Muslim. I didn't know anything about it, good, bad, anything. I was very, in a way, ignorant of the world, really, of the whole world. I knew there was a world, and if something really bad was on the news, I would see it. But as far as politics or social things going on, I didn't know. I was just focused on go to work, take care of brother. Even in high school, I didn't get into government or politics or these subjects. I passed the class, finish it, move on. I didn't have any concept. I didn't know anything about any religions, honestly, none. They didn't teach religion in my high school, none. They didn't teach it. So I didn't know, I just knew from what I was little, and then when I started working, this is what really started my whole thing with religion. When I would work and I would do these people's hair, a lot of these people were very sick, or maybe they had cancer, they almost died, and then now they're okay. So I was talking to women that were very religious. They had strong belief and faith, and I was fascinated by that. I was like, why? I mean, sometimes I would have to, cover my mouth because I go, why? Why do you believe that? Why? Because I had no belief, really, none. I didn't believe, I had none. I would get so scared sometimes because I wouldn't understand, like, how can I just not be here? How do I die? I didn't understand that whole concept of how I can die. And I would get very scared. I would get like a panic. And I would give myself like a heart attack because I would be so afraid. It just stops? What do you mean it just stops? I just stop? I'm not there anymore? I mean, really, it was very terrifying to me when I was young. And so I started really searching and asking every person, any woman that came in my chair, I would ask, are you religious? Do you believe in anything? Why? And then I would ask them why. And they were like, what do you mean why? Why? I mean, were you born that way? Did your family raise you this way? Did something happen to you and all of a sudden you had a moment and you believe now? Why? Why are you like that? And most, except for one woman in all the years, only one woman had an experience that made her have her belief. Everybody else was born this way. And so I felt like, you know what? It's never going to happen for me. I'm going to give up because I wasn't born into, nobody taught me when I was little. And I felt like this was a big problem. And the first woman I worked for years, 5 years I worked for one woman, she was Native American. And they have a whole different, idea, the spirituality. It's not like the big religions. It's very different. Similar in a lot of ways, but it's a different idea. And I was so jealous of her because she was so at peace with her life and the world, and she just had such solid belief. And I was like, how do you get that? I want that. I want to feel like that. I want my children to feel like that. I want this life. I want it. And so, like I said, I would ask everybody and I would go. They would invite me. Oh, come to my church. Come here. I went to every group, every church, every religious science, but I never met anyone who was Muslim, ever. So I didn't even know about it. And nobody ever talked about it. That was the other interesting thing. I never heard a bad word about it either. I never heard any word about it. So I didn't know anything. So then life passes, and I'm still searching and going, and I was divorced. I was married for 10 years, and anyway, the long story, same man, almost 15 years. When we were divorcing, I had filed for divorce, but I was still in the house. But one of my girlfriends invited me to start playing this game on this website on the internet because I wouldn't leave the house. And I was, big, ugly. It was not a good time. So finally, after months of her insisting, oh, come on, you sit in that house, you can't sit there forever. Just, come on, play with me in the night. At least it's something you can do, and introduce you to friends, whatever. And anyway, so the way that I found out about Islam is I met the man I'm married to now. And we met on this website that my girlfriend insisted that I join, and we met on there and we started talking. And during the first few days of our conversations, he asked me, did I know what was Islam? And I said no, I had no idea. So he sent me a website in English, and this website, it was Islam, I'm going to remember which one. It was Islam Way. I believe it was Islam Way. And it had all these articles and all of these, links and things. And the one that caught my eye, though, was something about, and I still have it in my computer, something about how to be a good husband, or the way to be the best husband, or something about being a husband. And I thought, oh, I got to see this, come on, I got to see this. So I click on it and I'm reading it and I'm like, whoa, really? And then I thought, nah. There's no way. There's no way that men are being taught this. There's no way. There's no way. So I'm like laughing, right? And so I copied it and I emailed it to him and I said, have you read this? And so next time we talk, I asked, did you get my email? He says, yes. I said, did you read it? Yeah. And I said, come on, this is a joke. And he goes, no. He goes, we must. And I went, what? What do you mean we must? We must. We have to be like that. I was like, you're full of it. I was just, because I'm a year now trying to get divorced. And I'm like, from, this horrible situation, I'm like, there's no way I'm in America. There's no man alive that's like this. Oh, come on. No, we must. We have to. What do you mean you have to? Why? You have to why? What's going to happen? I have no clue. So that started it. And then I just started going and all on my, on my own and learning and researching, and everything I read, I just kept going, no, really? Really? Come on. There's nobody like this. People aren't really like this. Oh, come on. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe that there was really something that wasn't just a bunch of, pardon expression, BS. That wasn't just a bunch of, this wasn't just preaching, Adam and Eve and this and that. It wasn't just talking about history, which is what the Bible was to me. And it was just like, they're talking about stuff that happened. Oh, what does that have to do with my life? Don't kill anyone. Yeah, I know that. It's common sense. Don't lie. Don't steal. Okay, yeah, I know that too. I knew all of that stuff. But this was different. And so I was like, wow, this is just great. And so anyway, I got more and more involved and more into it. And then, of course, my relationship developed and we became engaged. And, I would ask him about things, but it was a little difficult because he has his own business and is very busy. He's traveling, he's doing this, he's doing that. And, and then I went back to college to get a behavior degree because I have twins from my first marriage and they have autism. And autism is, a very difficult disorder and requires a lot of therapy and a lot of work to make the children be able to succeed and to progress. So I just was determined to be able to really help my children. And this is another subject, but there's a huge void of people that have the ability to really work with these kids. So while I was going to school, I just kept researching and doing more and more to learn about Islam. And basically, after about a year of studying on my own, I was sitting one night in August 21st, 2009. It was 11 o'clock at night, and I was on a website, and there was a little box in the corner that said, do you want to talk to somebody? So I clicked on it, and it was like a little interactive thing, and do you have questions, or do you want someone to call you? And it's 11 o'clock at night, so I just said, yeah, okay, sure. I want someone to call me. And I'm not thinking they're going to call me right now because it's 11 o'clock at night. And 5 minutes later, my phone rings. And it's a man on the phone. And he asked me a few questions. Well, what do you know about Islam? So I told him what I knew. And he says, do you want to become Muslim? And I said, well, how do you do that? And he said, you just declare he just told me the Shahada. And so he goes, repeat after me. And so I did. And he goes, congratulations, you're Muslim. And he hangs up. And so I'm like, really? And I'm like, wow, okay, all right, cool. Now what do I do? And I just sat there because I'm alone. My kids are asleep. I'm in my little apartment. And, I'm like, wow, what do I do now? And so I email, back then he was my fiance, I email him, I'm, well, guess what? I'm a Muslim. And I just didn't know what to do. And so then all of a sudden they start emailing me this organization. I mean, I got probably 25 emails in 5 seconds, really, with all these links, and they're telling me they're going to send me information, and they're going to send me Quran, they're going to send me all this stuff. Well, then they sent it, but they sent it 9 months later. So I had already, yeah, believe me, when the package came, I was shocked. It was 9 months later. But anyway, it was a good one. I have my whole little library was from them. So they sent me a lot of good stuff. But anyway, so in the meantime, I sat in my apartment for a month. I didn't know what to do. And so I kept going on different websites. And then there was one website that I found that had like a locator. It would locate places for you, like businesses that were Muslim and this and that. And so it gave me the location for the Islamic Center of South Bay. And so I called, and they said, oh, you want to talk to Sister Lita? And she's in charge of the women's group. And so I came here, and the rest of that's all history. But so basically that's how I became Muslim. It really, people always ask me, well, oh, so it's because of your husband. And I said, well, yes, of course, alhamdulillah, he's the one who said, what do you know about Islam? But it wasn't for him, or because he insisted, or because it wasn't that. He did, and this is the thing when people talk about dawah, that I get a little bit, it's a little touchy subject for me, because I truly believe the words of the Quran, that Allah guides who He will. And I believe our duty is to present the message, is to give it in a beautiful way, and to demonstrate. That's the most important thing, is to demonstrate through our life what it means. What is Islam? Not preaching, trying to convince somebody it's better, or it's right, or it's this, or it's that. In a degree has a place, but really it's when people see how you live, and they see how you are, and they see your manner, and they see how you conduct yourself, and they see the way your life's going. Even not that it's going great or you don't have problems, but how you handle the problems. This is, I think, what it impresses them. And this is what, like my husband, when I met him 2 weeks before Ramadan. And I'll tell you, this is the main reason, truly the reason I started researching Islam. The email thing, or the thing that on the website I read, that was kind of like a joke to me at first. But 2 weeks after I met him was Ramadan. And every time, we would talk, and he would be like, I have to go pray. What? Right now? What time is it? It's the time I have to go. Oh, okay. All right. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Bye. I can't, I'm not going to get online because I have to, just so many, because during Ramadan, he was one, he does all of the surah, all of the things. And so, like, even in our conversation, like, he told me, you can't talk to me like this, you can't talk to me like that, because I'm fasting, and this and this, and we're not married, and you're not my wife, and I mean, all of this. And I was like, are you joking, really? What? I can't put a flower, no. And he was so, like, strict. And then I remember him telling me he was spending the whole night in the mosque praying. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You're really going to stay all night and pray? How can you pray all night? Come on. No, really. And I'm like, the next day when I talked to him, I said, did you really stay in there all night? He said, oh, alhamdulillah, la la la. And I'm like, this guy, really? Come on, you're joking. You're just telling me, no, really. Oh, I feel so good. Oh, you don't know what it's like. And and I'm like, wow. I'm like, really? I never met anybody ever that practiced what they preached. And he didn't really preach a lot. He just did it. And I was like, wow, this has got to be something really great. I mean, this guy, because he's younger than me. And I'm like, wow, he's younger and he's in Morocco, which is, is a kind of a different place if you've ever been there. I mean, it's not like going some countries you go to and that's very strict and everybody's in the black. And Morocco, the guys are in the pointy toe shoes and the tight jeans and the sunglasses, and the girls are, some of them have the scarf, but they're in the tight little clothes and they got the heels and the makeup, and the bling bling and all of this. It's a little different over there. So I was like, nah, this guy's, but he was serious. And so that's what really made me think, okay, there's got to be something to this. If some young guy who's, living in this hip, cool place, because I'd never been there. I thought it was hip and cool. It seemed like it, And there's got to be something to it. And yeah, there was something to it. There was something to it. And that's this, yeah. And I'll never forget the first time that I opened the English version of the Quran, because I had no idea what to expect, because I had seen ayahs and surahs, quoted and quoted on things and stuff. So I just like, the Bible's like that, they have quotes and stuff. But when you read it, when you actually read it, it's more like you're having a conversation. Like when you sit down with a really good friend that you know really well, and you can just be really honest and you can really talk and you have that great flow between that person. That's what I felt like when I was reading it. And I would even the very first time, there was even times when I would read something and I would kind of laugh because I was like, you're right. Yes, exactly. Why? There's in Surah Baqarah, there's many times when Allah's asking, I show them this and I give them the guidance, why they don't want to follow it. I mean, I'm very loose. I don't have it memorized, the exact words, but the questions were being asked, what's, basically in very straight English, what's wrong with people that they don't listen? They don't listen. How many times they have to be told? How many different ways? How many different examples? How many prophets do I have to send? How many things have to happen for people to pay attention and to understand? And I was just I remember sitting alone in my apartment and just laughing, going, yes, exactly, right. And then I'd go, whoa, who am I talking to? I'm crazy, But it was like that. It was not like the Bible. When you read it, you're like, oh, you can't understand it, first of all. It doesn't make any sense. And in this chapter, it contradicts what you just learned in the last one. And, it was frustrating. But with this, it was just it was like a conversation. And that's what I explain to people. When I read, and I know it's different when you read it in Arabic. It's very different. I mean, just listening to it in Arabic is very different. But for me, I don't see any complication. I don't see anything confusing. I thought this is the most straightforward, most simple, and you're given so many examples of what is being said. The message is presented in every possible way. So even no matter what background you come from, no matter what your life experience is, no matter what your education is, no matter what even your comprehension of the world is, you can get it. A 5-year-old can get it. It's that easy.